I wanted to talk about the infamous sail switch that people have a lot of problems with on their furnace. Every year, when cold weather time approaches and folks go to use their furnaces, there must be probably 1,000 posts a week on various groups with folks having difficulties and troubles with their furnace. And what I got in my hand here is a sail switch. This one happens to be for a Suburban SF42Q, which is what I have in my Alpine. A lot of your Alpines out there will have the Dometic Atwood series furnace, which also has a sail switch, which looks pretty much just about like this one does. And we'll give you a general location on the SF42 furnace. The item you see circled in yellow is the sail switch, and if you look closely down at the bottom of the sail switch, you'll see the arm, and that's what moves open or closed if the fan is running, the blower fan is running or not running. And in this picture that you see of this furnace, obviously the blower motor is not running, and so the switch is in its normal open position, which means that the circuit that it wants to complete is not going to be completed because that arm is not moved upwards. And here's the same orientation of the sail switch that I have in my hand. You'll notice that the sail switch arm is hanging down just like you'll see in this picture, and with it hanging down like that, the two contact points that you see here, there's not going to be any continuity across it, and when the blower motor turns on and starts blowing, it actually blows against this flat blade, and when it does, it moves, and by doing so it completes a micro switch inside that completes this circuit. And all the time I hear people say that they clean the sail switch and everything works great. Well, you're really not cleaning the sail switch. The sail switch is held together with one rivet, as you can see right here. And you can see where the case separates right there. And inside is a small set of contacts, and when those contacts touch together by virtue of this arm moving, then you have continuity across these two leads. And let's zoom back out a little bit, and I'll zoom in just a little bit right here, and what you see underneath this arm that catches the wind from the blower motor when it turns on the furnace is you see a small plastic detent that moves down. You can see that right there. We'll zoom in just a little bit better. This is not what's making the contact across these two connections right here. All this is doing is this arm, and we'll zoom back out, this arm, when the blower motor spins up and starts blowing air, it blows against this arm, and when it does, it presses down and it pushes against this little plastic piece that moves in and out, making contact. And again, inside the switch is two small metal contacts that are responsible for making the circuit complete. So when somebody tells me that they cleaned the sail switch, not really sure what you're cleaning. If you had some dog hair or lint or something that was trapped down inside here. And what I'm going to do now is just show you basically how this sail switch works. I've got my ohm meter hooked up, and as you can see, we're in the ohms position, and we'll turn the sound on, and as you can see, it says OL, which means overload, means there's no connection. And what I'm going to do is take my finger and I'm going to manually push this arm. We'll zoom out a little bit, and you could hear the tone of the meter come on, and we'll do that again, and you can in fact see that we have continuity across the switch, and then we have no continuity. And so when your blower motor first comes on, it's going through what's called a purge cycle, and it'll do that for about 45 seconds. And the minute that blower motor comes on, what it does is it's going to push this arm, and again, as I said, the switch is normally open, as you can see. There's no continuity, and so when the blower motor comes on, the air from the blower wheel that blows air up inside your fifth wheel is going to move this sail switch arm, and it's going to complete the circuit down through these two connections that I have the meter hooked to. And as you can see, visually we have continuity, and you can hear the meter with a sound telling you that we have continuity. And so that's what has to occur before the igniter board is going to turn on the igniter and fire it, or send voltage to the solenoid on the furnace and open it up and let propane flow. If this switch does not make continuity, then the igniter is never going to fire and the propane is never going to open up. What I've done now is I've taken some of the undercoat off of one of our dogs. As you can see, it's quite fluffy. And so with a furnace that's sitting in the underbelly on a lot of the Alpines, some of the Alpines have it mounted up inside a cabinet, it's conceivable that you could get a lot of dog hair and lint and stuff built up inside. And theoretically, that could cause the sail switch to not be able to actuate. And as you can see, I've got it jammed in here pretty good. And I'm just going to take my finger and move this, and as you can see, I didn't have to move that very much. And even with all of that lint jammed in there, or dog hair, I still get continuity. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the wife's hair dryer as a simulated blower motor, and let's see if we can get any continuity with the meter. Okay, so here we go with the hair dryer, and you won't be able to hear my voice, not that it's worth hearing much anyways, but we'll watch this arm and we'll look at the meter and see if we can get any continuity with this dog hair in place in between the sail switch arm and where the plastic plunger is that activates the micro switch. Okay, so got the hair dryer turned on, and you can see that it's moving the arm. You can see that motion right there. But we're not getting any continuity with that dog hair in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the dog hair, and looks good and clean, and we'll make the same test. Okay, we're going to turn the wife's hair dryer on again, simulating the blower motor on your furnace coming on, and we'll watch this arm right here and see if it can move enough now to press in this small plastic switch, which will make contact in between these two connection points on the sail switch. So here we go. And you can hear that the meter is getting continuity, and you can hear the phone, and you can see we have 5/10 of an ohm of resistance. We'll do that again. You can see that the arm is moved over, and we'll take the air off. And so you can in fact see that if you had dog hair and it was wedged right up in this area in here, in between the arm, this long metal arm, we'll back out a little bit, this long metal arm, and down inside where you see the small plastic switch, that's a micro switch that has to move. And instead of using my big fat finger, we'll use something that points to it. You can see it right inside here. And this is the micro switch. And this is not what's making the continuity. It's two contact points that are inside of this switch that make continuity across these two electrical connections here and here. So what I'm going to do next, and I'll make it a separate video, is I'm going to actually take, and you can see this single rivet right here, and we'll look on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill this rivet out, And when I do, you can see the split in the case right there. And that will allow me to take the cover off of this so that I can show you what that little plastic arm that you see that's underneath the sail switch blade. You can see it when I press the sail switch blade down. You can see that it presses that small little micro switch, but inside are two contacts. And if somebody tells you that they clean the switch and that everything is good and they want to charge you $100, well, my question is what did they clean? They didn't drill the switch apart, I can guarantee you that. And so since they didn't drill the switch apart, they didn't get inside this case where the two contacts are located, and they didn't clean those or burnish them or anything else. So all they did when they say they clean the sail switch is they sprayed a little bit of contact cleaner or something probably right where this micro switch is at, and I'll move it in and out so you can see. All they did is they sprayed a little contact cleaner and maybe got that freed up a little bit so that it can actually move downwards and make contact inside where the two contact points are at. But by doing so, by spraying all that liquid inside, now they've pushed dirt and crap and stuff right down inside. And you can see that where this arm is at, there is a very small gap right in there. Let's see if I can zoom in enough. There's a gap enough to where dirt and lint and things like that is going to work its way down inside and get down inside this case of this switch. And so, again, anybody that says that they're cleaning the sail switch, you ain't cleaning nothing. You're making yourself feel good. If I pulled a furnace out, especially on mine where it's mounted in the basement, if I got to pull that furnace out, I'm putting a new sail switch in it. And yeah, I carry two sail switches. In 9 years, I've never needed one, but I've got two. And when I bought them, they were about $3.95 a piece. And I just checked the other day, the same switch I got in my hand is now at about $6.95. And if you shop on Amazon, they'll probably have a price on it of about $18, but $6.95 gets you a brand new sail switch. And that's, I mean, you know, two screws hold this thing on, two connections on it. You can see the connections there. And it's 5 minutes worth of work with that furnace out. And if the guy says he cleaned the sail switch, well, he had to get the furnace out some way to even clean anything. And so why didn't he just change the sail switch and put your brand new one in there? Because the reason I say that is if this small micro switch doesn't press down all the way because dog hair or something is in between the blade and the outer casing, then what's going to happen is that switch doesn't make good contact in there. It might make contact intermittently, but by doing so, without a full contact across inside on these points, what's going to happen is they're going to start arcing inside, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so you just paid a guy $100 to come out and clean a sail switch when for $110 or $115, whatever he wants to charge for his labor plus the part, I'm assuming an hour's worth of labor or the service call and $15 max for the part. But I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to not change this, unless you know, you're out somewhere and you don't have any parts at all and you can't get any parts. If you can blow this off a little bit, I would not spray liquid around this micro switch because the liquid is going to weep right down inside here, inside the casing. And inside there are 2 points, and even if you use contact cleaner, which evaporates pretty quick, all you've done now is pushed a bunch of dirt and crap further inside on those 2 contact surfaces, so I just wouldn't do it. Okay, so I've drilled out the back side of the rivet, and you can see that we've got it where it came through the case okay. And in my hand I have the sail switch arm, and I'll show you where this would normally mount on the sail switch. And normally it's going to sit right inside here like such, and it's going to move downwards and actuate this micro switch that you see right up here on the top. And let's get the angle better on this. Okay, so again, the actual sail switch arm that I have in my left hand here, it has a little clip on it, and what it does is it sits down inside this little piece of plastic on the arm like so, and with the body of the switch riveted on, it holds things in place. And then when the blower motor starts up, the plunger pushes down and you can see these contacts inside move, and of course you can hear the meter sound go off and show you that we have continuity. Okay, so I'm zoomed in on the contacts right now, and the two contacts are right here. And if I touch this screwdriver down here, you can hear the meter sound off, and I'm making continuity. But that's the two contacts, and you can see that they aren't touching right now because this plastic arm is pushed up. And you can see where there are areas that dirt and stuff like that can get right down inside here and cause this plastic switch to move, not to move properly. Dog hair could get in here and jam the switch up. And so that's fine. An RB tech that sprays a bunch of liquid contact cleaner or anything around this switch and thinks that he's cleaning things, all you're going to do is make things worse, because, and I'm zoomed in, there's the contacts right now, and you don't hear the tone on the meter going off, and as you can see, there's no continuity. And what we're going to do is we're going to press down on this piece of plastic on the micro switch, and we're going to zoom in to where you can see those two contacts move, and you can see I'm holding the arm down, which is simulating the sail switch moving downward. And you can see to the right here, you can see there's a good view. There's the contacts to the right that are open, and now when I move this down, I make good contact, and that completes the electrical circuit to the two leads that you see right here. And so there's no way you're going to clean any of this if you don't take this switch apart. And most people aren't going to take a switch like this apart in the field and try to clean it. And you can see that those contacts in there are very, very small. We'll zoom in a little bit better, hopefully. You can see the surface contacts. This is a brand new switch. It's never been used. But you can see that the contact surface is very, very small. And what I'm going to try to do is, with that in focus like that, I'm going to move and press the micro switch, which moves that arm downward and completes the electrical circuit. Let's see if we can get a better view of that surface in there. And you can see where it comes down and moves in and makes contact. And so there's no way you're going to clean any of this. And you can see that there are a few pivoting points in here. And so if you start spraying a bunch of liquid down in here, and it gets down in there, and there's dog hair and dirt and everything else, all you're going to do is just gum up the works, and you're going to have a sail switch that's not going to be reliable, it's not going to work, and you're going to be upset because you pulled the furnace out, did all that work, sprayed a bunch of cleaner or solvent or whatever on it, put it back together, and everything looked good for a little bit, but then after a little while of that sail switch being in there running and getting hot from the heat coming out of that furnace, all these contacts and everything have now really gummed up and nothing's working. So do yourself a favor, if you're having sail switch problems, and you can verify that as I showed you in earlier clips on this, if the switch isn't working, buy a new one and replace it. Don't go through all the work of yanking that furnace out and doing some Mickey Mouse cleaning job that isn't going to do anything, as you can see, you know.